Good evening and welcome to the City of Doral State of the City Address. My name is Marco Hiron. I am with the City of Doral Public Affairs Office, and it is my distinguished honor and pleasure to be your Master of Ceremony this evening. Please rise for the presentation of colors with the Doral Police Honor Guard. And leading us with the Pledge of Allegiance, the Boy Scouts of America Troop 552, Doral.
Please remove your hats if it is of your custom. About face. Shout, salute.
And now for the singing of the national anthem, please welcome Nicole Herrera.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Honor Guard, retire the colors. Please be seated. At this time, I'd like to take a moment to recognize some of our dignitaries that are here this evening. From Miami-Dade County, Commissioner Jose Pepe Diaz. Miami-Dade School Board Member Susie Castillo. Miami-Dade County Property Appraiser, Pedro Garcia. And from the office of Congressman Diaz-Balart, Lourdes Casio. From the office of the City of Miami Mayor Francis Suarez, Giovanni Castro. From the office of School Board Member Dr. Dorothy Bendros Mindigal, Cedric McMinn. City of Miami, West Miami Commissioner Luciano Suarez. And from the office of Miami-Dade County Mayor Diana Rodriguez. And of course, our very own elected officials here in the city of Doral, Vice Mayor Ana Maria Rodriguez. Councilwoman Claudia Mariaca. Councilman Pete Cabrera. And Councilwoman Christy Fraga. We also have our city administration here, our city manager, Mr. Edward Rojas. Our charter officials, the city clerk, Connie Diaz. Our city attorney, Dan Espino. Our chief of police, Mr. Don DeLuca. And our deputy chief, Mr. Brian Slyman. I'd also like to recognize our department directors that are here this evening, that are all sitting here in the back, who lead our city every day with their different divisions. In addition, after this event, we will have a reception. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Baptist Health South Florida, Ms. Maria Luisa Gonzalez, who's here. So thank you. And now for our invocation, please welcome to the stage Pastor Ricky Fernandez from Iglesia con Nosotros.
It's an honor to be here. I'd like to thank God, first of all. And I wrote, there are moments and times that define spaces. Just as one nation decided to conquer space, and one man considered it possible, we conquered space. There was a phrase that was there before, then it said, the sky is the limit. Well, that phrase no longer exists when we stepped on the moon. Now, one of the amazing things is that it takes great leadership and teamwork to accomplish what we have accomplished here in the city of Doral. This is a Doral that has been blessed by God, that loves God, and that it encourages the families. It encourages everyone who lives here to have a better tomorrow. What was considered the impossible, it became possible. We surpassed the skies. We built together. And now we see one vision. But all this vision started with a team that it was led by great leadership. One step, one dream, one vision. It was established and incorporated as one dream that became a reality, just as one day, many one believes. Now, the amazing thing is that there was this company called Apple, and they lost Steve Jobs for a while. But then he came back, and it became greater than it was at the beginning. And I believe this is what's happening to our city. I believe we're on a city of 1 billion steps. We're on a city that is really going to conquer the heart of the nation. Now, the Bible verse that it was implemented into my heart for this night is on Haggai 2:9, and it reads like this. It says, "For the glory of the latter days in the temple shall be greater than the former, says the Lord of hosts. In this place I will give peace and grace, says the Lord of hosts." That is in Haggai 2:9, and this is in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, same 1 Corinthians 2:9, It says that what eyes have not seen and what ears have not heard yet is going to be implemented in the heart of men. And we're going to see in the city of Doral something that has not been seen before. Just as one man one day stepped on the moon, his name was Neil Armstrong, and he became the first man to step on the moon. One man with a team, they stepped on this land, the city of Doral, and they believed together, and now we sit in a beautiful city where we can raise our children, we can see families, we can see great businesses, because it started with one man with a vision and one team that was in harmony together. And I believe that we are entering this 2017 and entering 2018 with this amazing model. Now, in 1790 is when this state of ordinance for Congress was created. We're in the year 2017, and I believe this is going to be 20 times better. This is why I called it 2017. That the latter days are going to be greater than we have seen before. And this is my faith. See, faith is the certainty of what is not there yet. Somebody believed before all this was established. Somebody had the hope and the dream that here was going to be something that it was going to be amazing for the whole nation. Now we see it come to life. Now we are all sitting in this city saying, oh my God. This oh my God is because in God we trust. City of Doral is a city that believes in God. It's a city that honors God. It's a city that is here to stay and to be greater. And like I said before, just with the right leadership that has been established, with the right people in harmony. And I believe we're going to really do what it says in 1 Corinthians 2:9, which is what eyes have not seen yet and what ears have not heard. It's what you're just about to see in the city of Doral. If we may please all rise as we all pray together in unity. And we thank God for having this amazing opportunity. And as we bless Mayor Juan Carlos Bermudez, who I believe is like the Steve Jobs that was brought back so he can establish what was first started. I thank you also for the team and for everybody who has been here. Hand to hand, I want to declare that we are all going to work in harmony. And we're going to see a city of miracles. Not only the city of 1 billion steps, but the city of 1 billion dreams come to life. So let's bow our heads together. Father in heaven, we come before you humbly, thanking you for the air we breathe. Thanking you, Father, because you have given us life. You have given us hope. You have given us the ability to dream, the ability to conquer. You have given us the hands so we can work, the mind so we can bring new ideas. We declare in the city of Doral, into every official, into every family, into every business, that you are going to do what is established in your word. That the latter days will be greater than the former days. That what eyes have not seen yet and what ears have not heard is what we are waiting for, Lord. I thank you for giving us the opportunity of blessing your name and bringing faith into the hearts of the people. I thank you and I honor you, God. In Jesus' name we say, amen. Thank you, family.
Thank you, Pastor, for those words. And now, without further ado, he is one of the founding members of the city of Doral, which incorporated almost 15 years ago, and he is the first mayor of our great city. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Mayor Juan Carlos Bermudez.
Wow. That's good. That's good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And certainly it's an honor to be here tonight with all of you and to have you here. I know it was a little bit early, 6 traffic impacts people. My wife made it on, eventually made it. My daughter who was working, thank you. So thank you very much for being here. And certainly, most importantly, I want to thank all the elected officials and guests from elected officials' offices that are here today. There was one I think wasn't mentioned, but he's here today too. Eddie Gonzalez, my good friend, former Councilman Hialeah, former state representative. Thank you for being here. And obviously, Commissioner Diaz, thank you so much for being here with us today. You are our commissioner, and I think you were here when we started. So you look the same. I don't. Something happened along the way, but something. And thank you for being here, Susie Castillo. I know she's here somewhere, right? Susie, where are you? Thank you so much. A Doral resident. Who would have thought that many years ago she would be our school board member and has offices here for any that have questions about the schools on Friday. So thank you, Susie. And Pedro Garcia, thank you so much. A great friend for being with us all the time and all the work that you do. Luciano, all the way from West Miami, thank you for being here also. And everybody here that's here from staff. I obviously want to thank the council. Anything that any mayor does is not possible without a great council, and the 4 people that are in front of you have done a fantastic job and have welcomed me back, and I appreciate it. It's not an easy thing to be an elected official in Miami-Dade County, as we all know. It's a full contact sport sometimes, but it's always great when you have a council that works together and moves in the right direction. And as Pastor Ricky said, that's very important because leadership cannot occur without a group that can agree to disagree but still go in the same direction when it matters. And that's very important. To the staff, to the manager, our deputy manager is not here today and certainly want to, hopefully he's watching, hopefully he'll get better, Al Childress, but the whole staff, all the directors, the manager, city attorney, city clerk, police chief, deputy chief, you are the ones that make us shine. You're the ones that make us look good. I know sometimes I can be a little bit insistent, but it's with good intentions. So thank you so much for being here. To the residents, and in particular those who supported me and had the faith in helping us get back in office. Well, first of all, in convincing my wife to allow me to come back to office, and then taking the time to work so hard, going door to door, getting the message out, and making sure that we had the opportunity to come back and try to get Doral back on track. Thank you so much. To my family, first, certainly my brother Alberto, who's here. My 2 sisters, unfortunately, couldn't be here today. One has a husband who's had some difficulties, and the other one is in the process of moving to Miami Beach from West Dade, so she doesn't drive around as much either because she's also had some health issues. But certainly, they're 2 wonderful people. And my brother Alberto, who's the oldest, and those who see him think he's younger because even though he's almost 16 years older than me, he's got more hair and it's darker. So, but if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be in the United States of America. He came through Peter Pan, the year that I was born, and as a young man, all alone. And thanks to him, our family, and nobody could be blessed with a better family than we were. Obviously, the 3 young ladies that are here, well, the 4 young ladies, so I don't want to get into any trouble. First the, my oldest one, Eneida, those of you who remember when we became Doral, she was just a little girl that would go around with us. Now she's a beautiful young woman who was working, by the way, until about 5:30, which is one of the reasons that we started a little bit late, but I thank her so much for being here because without my family, we couldn't do anything. And I appreciate that. To my second one, Elena, let's call her the one that always questions whatever, makes me think because she questions everything I say from A to Z. But by the way, those of you who know her know she also has a love for Korean music and speaks Mandarin, which is amazing. But so she makes me listen to Korean music in the morning. in certain occasions, which is very, very interesting. And obviously, our little one, the surprise and the princess of the family, who probably is the most technologically adept, who teaches me how to use my phone and use the computer, Elisa, who is one of the sweetest, most loving little girls I've ever met. And not because she's my daughter. She really is a wonderful young lady. So stay that way, because if not, then that'll be a little bit disappointed. But she's a wonderful little girl, and is really has been a blessing to us. And finally, obviously, my wife, Vivian, who 26 years ago, almost now 27, walked down the aisle with me. And I don't know how she's put up with me all these years, but she has. If it wasn't for her, there's no way that we could do this. There's no way that I could be an elected official, because those of us who are in politics understand how difficult it is on the families in particular to be an elected official in general. And, I've been blessed by God that after, all these years, she's still there with me, still putting up with me, still putting up when I get a little cranky, when my favorite football team loses or things like that. But she's been extremely patient and loving, and I certainly couldn't be the man I am today without her. And that's not just as a politician, also as a person, as a professional. So thank you, Vivian. I love you. And obviously, I want to thank God. Pastor Ricky is right on point. Without God, there isn't anything that any of us could do. And, a lot of times, the first time around, the first 9.5 years, and even now when things get difficult, I ask myself, how did I end up in this position? And I have to believe that it's God's will that I be put in this position to do good. And I'm very appreciative of that. So today, it's certainly a wonderful day, but I want to talk a little bit about some of the accomplishments that we have had as a city, not only this council, but also staff, and hopefully where we can go moving in the future. And I'll try to make it not too long so all of you can get to some food and some drink. Those of you that know me know that in the last year and a half or so, I've been studying a lot of Greek philosophy. And there is a Greek philosopher who is not a Stoic, even though I've been studying more Stoicism, that had a great saying. His name is Heraclitus, and his saying was, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man." So I have an opportunity to step in the same river twice. And it's not the same river, and I'm not the same man, because one learns a lot over time, and circumstances change, and you have to adjust those circumstances. When we started this city, the first state of the city address was at I think it was at what was then Doral Middle, and it was a very interesting event because we've never had a state of the city address. It was first ever, and now as I sit here so many years later, I have the opportunity to step in the river again and give you my thoughts. We made a commitment during this campaign to get Doral back on track, and that's very important. When I ran and when we ran, we specifically indicated to everybody that was our goal. And we're working toward that goal, and we're committed to getting back to where we were before, and even better. We're committed to getting the culture back to what the culture was previously. We're committed to bringing back that culture of true transparency, planned growth, fiscal responsibility, efficiency, and effectiveness in government. We made a commitment to going back there, not because we wanted to go back to the past, but we made a commitment because that's the way government should be. In America today, and we know that government is on the headlines every day in America today, we need to go back to efficiency and effectiveness, true transparency, true discussion and debate about the issues, and then making decisions to move forward. I know that the manager and the directors heard this before, because when I came back, the first thing I told them when they had their retreat was that John Cotter, who was a professor emeritus at Harvard of business, had written a book called Leading Change. And I told them there's 8 steps to getting us back to where we should be. So today, I feel that in the last 11 months, we've certainly accomplished the first 3 steps, which are creating a sense of urgency to change, which we've done. And it couldn't have been done without the administration and without the great employees that we have. Creating the guiding coalition, which we've done. and developing a vision and a strategy. And that strategy and vision is the cooperative vision and strategy that we all share. Now we need to take step number 4, which is to communicate that vision to all of you and also to everyone that deals with the city. The first and most important thing we want to do is to provide better and more efficient services. And one of the things that we want to do was focus on fiscal responsibility. And this year's budget is an example of that. First of all, it certainly protects our tax dollars and uses it in a way that is very wise, which was our goal when we first became a city. We have kept the services we have not cut services, but we have certainly streamlined and been more efficient with the budget in the last year. We also have a healthy $36 million in reserve. We've kept the second lowest millage rate in Miami-Dade County at 1.9. Our financial advisors and city auditors clearly have stated that the city has an excellent financial position. And most importantly, those of you that were here, whether you're elected officials or residents, know that we made a commitment when we incorporated the city to do as much as Miami-Dade County was doing, and even more, with the same amount of taxes or less. Well, lo and behold, today we have a lower millage rate. Pedro, don't get any ideas. It's lower than Miami-Dade County, but it's we are there, and we were able to do it. And those who were naysayers now can look around, and Pastor Ricky pointed that out. Who would have thought back in 2003, 2002 that would be the case? So we've maintained that. Our credit rating is AA, and it's excellent. Now, for 2018, we're going to have to do a number of other things, which is continue to be more efficient and more effective. There's always the opportunity to improve in life. And those who know me know that, and my daughter certainly knows because I hear it every day, that the day you stop learning is the day you're no longer on this earth. And the day you stop getting better is the day that you're not here. We have done a number of things that I think are very important. I thank the council for supporting the proposal to making sure that every agenda item has a budgetary amount on it. Whether it's kept or not, it's important for us to know that whatever item is proposed, whether it be by staff or even by us, we need to know what the cost would be. And obviously, this year, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, we expect to finance the quality of life, in particular our parks and maybe our roads, and it's going to be up to you, and we'll tell you how. We're going to ask you to determine whether we do it or not. There have been a number of great projects this year that the staff, is, in large part, has been responsible for, and I want to thank them for that. I want to thank them for allowing us to bring back a more active performance dashboard, which leads to more interaction with the city and its residents and its businesses. And most important, lets council also determine how effectively and efficient we are functioning as a municipality. And it's very important because when we brought that many years ago, there was a confusion that this would be something to actually rate the employees, when in fact what it really does is make sure that we're as efficient and as effective as possible. I know Susie remembers the battle to get that passed, and we're very appreciative. We did receive this year something that I didn't even know existed, but we just found out 2 council meetings ago, and we certainly want to thank, in particular, IT for that, which is the ISO 37210 Platinum Certification from the World Council on City Data, which basically only 4 U.S. cities have received. We're the only one in Florida, and cities like Barcelona, Boston, have Dubai City are the ones that have received this, only 50 around the world. And that basically indicates that with this certificate, we are considered a very strong digital government, which puts people first, services and solutions that span city administration and citizen services. It's a very excellent designation because it means that we're trying to get to our citizens in every single way possible, not only through these pictures that we have from our council meetings, but also to reach you daily. Now, we will have to, as we move forward, make sure that we, in 2018, expand that use of technology to, number one, be prepared for any cyber threat. We all know that unfortunately is a reality in today's world. Number two, give more access to our residents as to how our community is working and how to communicate with us. And truthfully, number three, and I'll talk about that a little bit further, in our ability to police the community and keep our community safe. All those things are very important. Security and safety is obviously one of the most important issues. The Doral Police Department, many years ago when we made the decision to have our own police department, we made that decision because we felt we can get more efficient service. There goes the water, but that's okay. More efficient service and more effective policing by having our own police department, and we've been lucky to have that. I can tell you, I want to thank the fine men and women that work with Chief DeLuca and Deputy Chief Slyman day in and day out to make this city the safest that it can be. And they've done a fantastic job. The police substation, by the way, will be opening up in a couple of weeks, and it's on time, it's on budget, it's on schedule. Those of you who have an opportunity to go out to the police, and some of you have as residents for events at the Police and Public Works expansion, which was completed at the beginning of this year. In fact, that's where we spent the hurricane, including my family, when in our police department getting ready to go out and provide service as quickly as possible. I get a lot of questions asked about improved, let's call it more presence of the police. We may not be where we want to be, but we're certainly doing a lot more than we were doing before. We've issued so far in this last fiscal year, about 19,506 citations. In comparison to the prior year, there were 13,089 citations. It's a 49% increase. And no, it's not about the fact that we want to give citations. It's about the fact that we said we were going to come back and have greater police presence to make sure that the culture came back to one of making sure that our city is not only as safe as possible, but it's a city where we can drive safely, where people follow the rules, where people don't park in handicapped spaces. So unless you're handicapped, you shouldn't be parking in those spaces. So we're very proud that, and we will continue to do so as we move forward. The Community Policing Department has a great outreach program. Some of you have participated. The Police Service Aid Academy has trained a generation of new PSAs. The School Resource Unit, we probably have the most active in all of Miami-Dade County, including presence at all schools. I know I always get asked, but they work on traffic congestion, drop-off, and not only that, but they also go in and work with the schools on many other programs. We partner with Big Brothers and Big Sisters to start the Bigs in Blue program in Doral, where our police department works directly and mentors directly at-risk youths in our community. We started a Youth Citizens Police Academy. A number of our young men and women graduated. They loved it. Some didn't want to. I think some got dragged by their parents, but they ended up loving the process. And Shop with a Cop, which we've done for years as a city, has been extended to our working with our local churches and schools to identify people with need in the city of Doral. The emergency response was fantastic for the whole city, by the way, and that includes not just the police department. The men and women back there spent their time during the hurricane to be with the city, working for the city, away from their families. They did a fantastic job, so I can tell you the emergency response was fantastic, and the Emergency Operations Center was a fantastic idea. Code compliance, obviously, we've stepped it up a little bit and want to get back to the quality of life that we had before. So I know we're having more hearings in code compliance, but there's a reason for that, and it's part of bringing that culture back of following the rules. We want to make sure that we keep our city as beautiful and as clean as possible. For 2018, there's a lot of things that I think will be very positive. The first one I've already mentioned, more police presence. I mean, Chief DeLuca knows that probably every time I see him, I preface my comments with more police presence, more police presence. And this Monday, I had an opportunity to be at Polynesian speaking to a community, and precisely the residents reiterated, we love the fact there's more police presence, but we'd like to see more active police presence. We are going to have enhanced enforcement, whether it's the police or code compliance. Again, it's a part of getting our city back to the culture that we created when we started the city. I want to make it clear that beyond the fact that they are also a great police department, they have to be given the right resources. And this year, the council has looked into and is supportive of body cameras for our police department. That to me brings a joy to my heart, since we used to have cameras in the police cars and we're one of the first cities to do it. It goes along the lines with our transparency and our honesty and integrity. I will tell you, for those that have questions about how dedicated we are to our police department, 38% of our budget is committed to the police department. And Chief, I believe the chief asked, is there anything else that you need? And he answered publicly, no, I don't. I think I have everything. And in fact, later on, he told me I have more than I ever got, even in Miami Beach, which is the place that he loves. So we look forward to the police and the code compliance working together. Code compliance, I'm going to be very straightforward. It's important. We need to use technology to keep our community cleaner, to have a great and greater contact with our associations. We need to come back to being a city where everybody commits to keeping our city clean. They're also going to be working with the task force that will be named, which will deal with the landfill and the resource recovery facility. As you all know, we have a study that we're going to receive, I believe, in December, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Manager, about where we can go on that issue. It's an issue that has been here from the beginning. We can't do it without the help of our Commissioner Diaz, who's done a fantastic job being supportive, understanding the reality that one is a county facility, one is a private facility outside the city, yet he understands that it's important for us and the quality of life of his residents to work together. And I look forward to, and I do think we can find solutions, and we're working in the right direction. Code compliance will also be working on something that I know many of you have complained about, and I know that it's a problem for our city, which is the unfortunate reality that there's a lot of, beyond Airbnb, there's a lot of individuals that may not be legitimately living in the places where they are at in the city of Doral. It impacts our quality of life, it impacts our school, our parks, our traffic, and we need to get back to making sure that the rules are followed appropriately, not that people, and I know people are going through difficult times, but we need to get people to understand that it doesn't make any sense to have 5 different families living in a 1-bedroom apartment. It's not productive, it's not good for our city, it's not good for them. And code compliance is going to be focusing on that in the upcoming year, and I think it's very important for us as a community to keep that value. As far as bringing the community together, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing more that I can tell you with the exception of having great partners, working with Miami-Dade School Board member Susie Castillo, who is a Doral resident. She's done a fantastic job. I already said she's here every Friday, but more importantly, we will be getting in 2019 our new K-8 and our new high school. So for those, we're very lucky to have our school board member be a Doral resident, a longtime Doral resident. We're even luckier to have her be somebody who was once here at the city of Doral, listening to everybody's concerns. So she understands it from A to Z. So thank you, Susie, so much for the support. We have the program, Eso no se hace aquí. You don't do that here. It works in both languages because it goes across the board. We need to clean the city up, follow the rules. I know you've seen the ads, right? Some of you, I think, have actually been in some of these ads or are part of the ad. And thank you so much for helping us get that message out. Step Up Your Health Doral, obviously, is something that's an initiative that our Parks Department has certainly supported, that I wanted to bring to Doral. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm not thinner, well, I have to be thinner, but I can be in better shape in 3 to 4 months, then probably you can point out that the program hasn't worked. But we're going to hopefully, right, all of us together, try to follow up with this program. You know, Councilman Cabrera remembers when we did start, actually what today is our 5K, which originally was a very small race, and today now is one of the most attended races in West Dade. I think the whole council ran only 1/3 of the race, but we had about 500 residents that day that ran. And with the challenge of being a city of 1 billion steps, we want to make our city healthier, not only nutrition-wise, but also mentally, and also from the perspective of family, making your family healthy from A to Z. Maria Luisa's here somewhere. Where is she? Where is she on that side? There she is from Baptist. Maria Luisa, thank you so much. Baptist has been a tremendous supporter and make this possible. So thank you to Baptist Health for doing that. The Doral Business Advisory Task Force has been reestablished. You will have 5 of your neighbors and business people look into our permitting department and seeing how we can make it more effective. Renee gets a little nervous when I say this, but there are 5 great individuals who know the industry. It's important that we streamline our permitting. It's one of the reasons we incorporated. It's important that it become more effective and more efficient. And we look forward to the white paper from that task force in this June. And there are 5 wonderful people who are giving up their time to make this a better place, working with our administration. We have the Million Orchid Project, which those of you who have an opportunity, we're planting orchids all across Doral, so help us and join us if you can. Of course, we also have Adopt the Street programs and the community meetings that we've had. The Department of Public Works, I think, is very important for us. And back there, George hears from me all the time, especially now that thanks to Commissioner Diaz, we have a seat on the TPO. It was one of our commitments during the campaign that we were going to push for being on the TPO. And Commissioner, thank you again for being supportive of our efforts and listening to our arguments to get us on there. At the beginning, maybe the county attorney didn't have that perception, but we were able to do it. there's been a number of streets that have been open. I'm not going to go through all of them because I want to make sure that at least you get out there and have some food soon. But the roadway, 109th Avenue, it's critical for us, and the opening of that has been between 41st and 58th. The connection along 92nd Avenue between 25th and Northwest 33rd has been fantastic for those of you who travel in the area of Southern Command. 66th Street, for those of you who are by the charter school that's out there and live in that area. And obviously the signal optimization, which we will continue to work with the county on that. And that's been critical. There's been a tremendous improvement between Northwest 87th Avenue and Northwest 107th Avenue. Those of you who see those little orange bikes that are around, they are the spin bikes. They're free. Ride them. It's a way to get you off the road and get some exercise and join Step Up Doral and get healthier. And we are one of the first cities that is doing that in South Florida at no cost to you, at no cost to the city. We've completed a number of stormwater projects. Those of you who remember the great storm of 2001 or 2000 realize that the flooding is a lot less today than it was before in our main roads. And since that time, because of the great work that Public Works has done with our stormwater program. And that's been fantastic. The Transportation Master Plan update, which George has done a great job working with the county on, has also been something that's been, I think, very, very important to our community. They've won a number of awards, and I'm just going to go quickly through them. The Outstanding Building of the Year Award, Toby. The Project of the Year, one category for the project between the roadway connection between Northwest 97th Avenue between 70th and 74th Street, which was recognized by the Miami chapter of the American Society of Civil Engineers. Tree City, USA, we were the youngest city to ever do that, and we're Tree City Year again for the 10th year in a row. And of course, we also received some funding from the TPO, matching funds for the study on the FIU trolley and matching funds for a traffic improvement study. And the $1 million in federal funds that have been received as a grant for the pedestrian bridge over Doral Boulevard. Most important thing this upcoming year, again, with the help of our county, will be the opening of 82nd Avenue. That'll be critical to us as we move forward. The council also will probably hear a discussion on trying to turn 117th Avenue between 41st and 58th into a city road as opposed to what it is today, which is run by the state of Florida. They have an interest in possibly doing that. We have an interest in taking it over as long as it's up to par. So we look forward to working with FDOT on that. 112th Avenue, the council recently approved and authorized our staff to look into how we can expand 112th Avenue between 41st and 33rd. Those of you who have been Doral a long time know that that will go right through the Lemon property, but it will go a long way to making us a more viable city. It'll be something that'll be a lot more impressive if we can get that done. It will take a while. The trolley expansion to FIU and Dolphin Mall is critical, both not only for the students and the individuals that work in Doral from FIU, but also for the new bus depot that will go right west of Dolphin Mall. And finally, Commissioner, I hate to turn it on you, but you're going to keep on hearing this over and over and over. We got to work on signalization because it does us no good to correct the Doral part if when we go into the unincorporated or the Miami Springs side, it doesn't flow. And I thank you again for your support on that, and I know you're committed to that. So for us, that's very important. Planning and zoning, probably the department that's had the most difficulty, not because they're a difficult department, but because of the fact that they're the ones that are the forefront of some of the growth in our community and have to deal with it. Julian Perez, an avid, now Los Angeles Rams fan, heads that department. Because since they came back to Los Angeles, Julian, I had to let you know that. But he's done a fantastic job, the whole department has. And most important, the city's comprehensive plan update has been fantastic to make sure that our growth is sustainable, that it deals with our housing options, our multimodal transportation, and growth in jobs and visitors. The comprehensive plan capital improvement element also, 5-year schedule of capital improvements is something that was approved and was pushed forward, and that's very important because we need to think about where we're going to be 5 years down the road and not make the mistake that everything will be the same. The low impact development or the LID master plan, which I know Julian was working on, is important because it's working with the development community to make sure that the interested stakeholders, which includes the residents, by the way, develop long-term strategies to deal with stormwater issues on site. Brownfield, I don't even have to talk about that because many of you have heard about it. And last week, it's a great opportunity to take some of the areas where we've had former landfills or environmentally challenged areas and give the owners of that area an opportunity to get credits for improving that area. And finally, we have to be clear and realistic that across Miami-Dade County, all of us will have to develop a housing master plan. It studies the stock of the housing in the city and develops an action plan to address the future housing needs, in particular the young professionals in the city of Doral. If we're going to attract places like Amazon, if we're going to try to do that, there has to be housing for our younger professionals. One of the biggest problems I've had in Miami-Dade County, not with the county itself, but we all have in Miami-Dade County, is I don't want my daughters to have to leave to go to another city to get a quality job. I would love them to be able to stay in our community. We cannot do that if there isn't housing that is viable for them. So hopefully, as we move forward this next year, when it comes to planning and zoning, I believe that it's important to continue the balance, as I said during the campaign, between commercial, industrial, and residential use. The protection of our logistics industry, our commercial industry, our industrial industry is critical. It makes no sense we exist as a city because we had a great and have a great business base. So that balance needs to be maintained. There is no way we could do what we do with the quality of life we have if it wasn't for our businesses. And finally, I think we're going to have a great opportunity to also reach out and start having more individuals who are interested in making this place their home, who are in the industry of arts and of culture, come to Doral. We're already seeing it happen. We have a first ever potential private museum that is beginning and has already started to have some openings and some events. So we look forward to that. Parks and Recreation, you all know about Doral Legacy Park. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a 7th park, 18 acres. It's a beautiful place. It's a long time coming, as one of those songs from the 1960s said, but it's there. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place. It fills a lot of our needs as a city. It doesn't fill them all, but it fills a lot of our needs. We do have to thank Baptist again, who's one of the sponsors of the running track on the 2nd floor and of the park. We completely renovated Morgan Levy and Doral Meadows Park soccer and football fields. Those of you who've been out there know that it's been 10 years. Yes, it seems like a short time, but it's been a long time. And both of those fields today are brand new. Finally, the most important thing is council discussed intensely and approved the conceptual for Doral Central Park, including the aquatic facility concept and its amenities. I know that a lot of you have asked for that and for many years, in particular the aquatic facility, but the park in itself. And that's going to be critical. In the upcoming year, if we are going to fund the growth of our parks, and if we're going to be able to build out Doral Central Park like all of us want it to be, we're going to have to make a decision on how to fund it. And there's only 2 ways to fund it. It's either to raise the taxes or go out and tax ourselves for a defined period of time to make sure we get the best facilities possible. The council has been working with experts on this to figure out what's the best way to fund this. So hopefully, early this year, you'll be able to see how we would ask you to decide whether you want to maintain that quality of life or you want to maintain that quality of life at our parks and on our roads. I believe for us to do that, we have to provide the services we're providing today, which includes the opening of Doral Legacy Park. And it also includes a plan that makes it clear not only what we're going to build, but how we're going to fund it for a very, very long time. So hopefully we'll be able to vote on that at some point next year. I am going to bring back a pet project of mine that I was working on with Fairchild Tropical Garden to hopefully take the 52-acre preserve, which is not really a preserve, on 107th and 74th, and bring that back with the help of the University of Miami and Fairchild Tropical Garden and make it an actual preserve of local fauna so our students and our residents can walk and visit it and not just have the Malalucas that are out there at this time, which I think is very important. IT's done a fantastic job. I want to thank them. This year, they created a number of different initiatives, including the Smart City Initiative, which included the SMOOF, I think I pronounced it SUFA, Smart Benches, which are smart benches that are really spread out during the different parks that we have in the city of Doral. Downtown Doral Park, Morgan Levy, Veterans Park, and Legacy Park. And basically, it lets us measure how much our parks are getting used, and also helps us connect to the internet. I can go through some of the things they've done with Munis and Microsoft, but most importantly, the Citizen Transparency Portal, which is providing online view to the city's financial system, has been critical. The license plate reader cameras, which I know have been bandied about in different directions, but were a great idea when we got them and continue to be a great idea, which, by the way, has been lauded by agencies across the state of Florida and has made, I think, Chief DeLuca's job a heck of a lot easier. I know he says that. We are certainly one of the leaders in that, and we had a showcase where we featured this for the rest of the state of Florida to see how it's been working. It's been a tremendously successful deployment, and the technology has been great in helping us with investigations, crime initiatives, and transportation analytics. And finally, they did receive the 2017 Florida Excellence in Technology Award, which recognizes a great job that the technology department has done. They also created a GIS portal to make sure that we could figure out everything that's happening in our city for all departments. Like I said before, this year in technology, I think the greatest and most important advancements will be the police body cameras. I think it goes a very long way for our residents to know that our police officers are not only great men and women that make this the greatest department, but also treat people with respect. And I'm going to tell you, when we had, and I told the chief this before, when we used to have the car cameras, 99% of the time, the police officer was right when a resident complained. When we went to the video, as they would say in the National Football League, we would see that in reality, the police officer was right 99% of the times. I do think we need to make sure that our system is as hard as possible, and we make sure that with cybercrime taking place, in some of the cities in the United States of America, there have been incursions into some of the cities, including some major cities, and we need to make sure that that doesn't happen to us. And finally, the responsible use of technology. We need to make sure that all of us that love to text as we drive don't text. And we got to make sure that somehow as a city, we focus on making sure that technology goes to benefit our quality of life. The Economic Development Department, Manny Pila, has done a fantastic job. I know he loves Ritmo Doral, so I have to mention that the inaugural Ritmo Doral was fantastic. It had missions from Aruba, Armenia, and Barranquilla that were here, and also had music. And most importantly, it's a finalist, by the way. We are a finalist for the 2017 Knights Art Challenge grant. So we will know what's going to happen soon. The Sister City Agreement, which I know that Councilmember Cabrera and I had the opportunity to go to Guatemala. We signed the agreement with Guatemala City, and we've extended our agreement with Armenia. I know Councilwoman Rodriguez had the opportunity to go to Colombia. And sometimes people question why we have these agreements. The reality is that Doral is a city of trade, and a city of trade, it's a particular city of international trade, as we know. And international trade is what makes Doral flow and what makes South Florida grow. So it's very, very important that we continue to grow that program. We've had great beautification in our city, and that's a result of the great job that some of our businesses have done, including the facade improvement grant program. They've taken advantage of that. And finally, the CBO program grant process, which I know that Councilwoman Mariaca and I wanted to make sure that it became streamlined, but also effective and truly impacted our community positively. Is something that I'm very happy we brought back. And in this upcoming year, we'd like to expand our Shop Local program, which I think is something we need to do. Councilwoman Fraga, who has a business in Doral, knows how important it is to have local patrons come to local businesses to make it a business that not only serves people from outside of Doral, but those that are here. So we would hope to expand that program next year. We're also rolling out something, hopefully working with some of the local banks to make it easier to get financing for local Doral business people and residents. And finally, you already heard about Amazon. It's a public-private effort on our part. I believe, and I know that Councilman Cabrera and those of us that are here from the beginning, many, many years ago, when this was not even around, we're very committed to making sure that the headquarters of international and national corporations came to Doral. We are finally set with downtown Doral and the City Place area to finally take that step to attract those companies. And it's a great opportunity to do that. The final thing, obviously, will be that hopefully those businesses will create those jobs where our kids can stay here, where these millennials, I think my daughters hate it when I call them millennials, but anyways, I'm going to do it anyways. I don't know what we call Elisa's generation, but it's got a name. Generation Z, well, we'll get to them soon, but we need to make sure that we create the jobs where people can live, work, play, and learn in Doral. And to do that, we have to create the opportunity to give our kids an opportunity where they go away or where they stay here, to stay in the wonderful city of Doral and to stay in South Florida. Next year, by the way, is our 15th anniversary. And now that we've told you everything that I think we've done and we can do in this upcoming year, and I'm sure there's other things we will do, one of my commitments, and we did it this Monday, is to make sure that our government is more accessible, more transparent. We had, with the Doral Chamber of Commerce, a cafecito with the mayor. We had a fantastic turnout. And last week, we had a meeting with Polynesian, and we will continue to expand that to all of you. We are there to listen to your concerns, making sure that you, like us, who are residents, who know what is going on in the city, tell us what you feel we can do better. Even though I'm very proud of doing better, I think we can always improve. And I look forward to making sure that you let us know as we go out and visit you in your communities, not necessarily you having to come here to City Hall. Next year, ladies and gentlemen, we celebrate 15 years, and it's very important. It's an election year. It's very important, and I want to thank the council for understanding and keeping in mind that the most important job for all of us, even if we have differences on the dais, is to make sure that we move our city in the right direction. We can agree to disagree, but collectively, when we make that decision, we've got to do what's best for the community. And we cannot allow any potential election to impact the fact that our job and our work is to make Doral more effective, more efficient, and a better city every single day. So I want to thank the council for keeping that in mind this year, and I hope you keep it in mind as we go toward November. It's critical for us to make sure that the message that Pastor Ricky so correctly pointed out, that we are a united city committed to going in the same direction, continue to be the message that we espouse and the actions that we take. After 15 years, it's important to know where we've been and to know where we're going. How did we get there? We had great elected officials. I'm not trying to take credit for that. There was a number of people that made it possible because you voted for all of us. Number two, we had great staff in the past and in the present, people who cared about this community. And most importantly, you, the businesses, but in particular the residents. And all of us on this council are residents, and the ones that were here before were residents when they were on this council. And it's you who make the city a great city. It's not the mayor, it's not the fellow elected officials, but it's you. And that's how we got to be a great city. So next year we celebrate 15 years since our incorporation as a city. And while many of you are now aware of all the great things we've accomplished in the past 12 months, I hope that you remember what we did in the last 15 years. I see Commissioner Cancio's family here, and I think his granddaughter is the new teen of Florida. And Commissioner Cancio, along with Commissioner Diaz, was critical in making us a municipality. And it's important that many of those who made this city possible be welcomed back in the next year. And we all celebrate together the 15 years that we've worked so hard to make this the best city in the state of Florida. And I would argue the best city in the United States, but I'm a little bit biased. So, in the end, that decision that we mulled many years ago about to become a city or not, Commissioner, if you remember, and I know Commissioner Cancio does, and Councilman Cabrera and others, I do think we have more schools. We have parks, which we didn't have. We have a police department that's probably 5 times as large as what we had policing in the area before. We used to have 2 code compliance officers all the way from A Street to the end of Miami-Dade County. Today, there's about 7 times that number patrolling the city of Doral and keeping this place clean. Our zoning hearings used to take place in downtown. We'd have to get on a bus and go all the way over there if it wasn't in front of the community council. And trust me, we had that experience with a certain area of our city early on, and we had to go downtown to have those hearings. Today, they're here. You may agree or not. You may agree or disagree with us, but you can see us here and you can speak to us here. And you know, everybody talks about traffic. The reality is the roads are a lot better. The reality is that if you compare Doral today to what it was in 2003, as far as access, ingress, and egress, it is by far a much better place to be able to traverse. And that's a reality. It's not perfect because and nothing in Miami-Dade County when it comes to transportation has been perfect, but it's a place where people want to come live, and Doral's a place where people want to come live. And our roads are a heck of a lot better than they were before we became a city. So the decision to become a city was a good decision. I hope that as we celebrate this community spirit, culture, and resilience with several events throughout the year, the first will be in January. Those of you, and I can ask you a trivia question, very few remember, but January 28th, 2003, which, by the way, is also Jose Marti's birthday, Miami Gardens and the city of Doral's residents voted, and in Doral by almost overwhelmingly, almost 90%, voted to become a city. So we hope that you celebrate that with us in the upcoming year, and I hope to see you all there and enjoy the time with us. You know, this has been the road has been long. It's not always been easy, but it's brought us to this moment. I stand before you not only as a founding member of this city and as the founding mayor and member of the city council, but more importantly as your neighbor and as your friend, full of pride and excitement for how far we've come and how far we still have to go. You made it possible. When I say you, I mean all of you. And I thank you, and my family thanks you from the bottom of our hearts for giving me the great honor of having been your first mayor and giving me the great honor of giving me the opportunity to step in the river one more time. Maybe as a different man, but in the same river. When I left in 2012, and I gave my goodbye, they asked me, by the way, today if I wanted any songs to come in. I said no because it confused everybody. Even though I think they played Welcome Back Kotter when I came back for the swearing in, but when I left, we left with two songs. And when I came in, we played and I came in with my family to last State of the City address. REM's It's the End of the World as We Know It, and I Feel Fine, which we walked out to in our wedding also. And when I finished speaking to the council members and to all of you, I also left with another song, which was a song by a gentleman who just passed away, Tom Petty, I Won't Back Down. Both things are indicative of my thoughts and my beliefs, not only as an elected official, but as a person. Anybody that knows me knows that even though I can be a little bit difficult sometimes, I always mean well. Anybody that knows me knows that when there's a fight, I'm willing to take that fight if it's the right thing, because justice is what I believe in. And those two songs were indicative of how I felt. Unfortunately, when I said it's the end of the world as we know it and I feel fine, I was talking about the night for me. I didn't know things would change that much in 4 years, and I'd be asked by the voters to come back and, be mayor again. But I guess, Tom Petty's song was right. I said I wouldn't back down that night, and I won't back down. I won't back down, and I won't apologize for the great effort that many of you have made, myself and my fellow council members, to make this the premier place to live, work, play, and learn. So I hope, and I ask you, as we finish tonight, that you follow a song, and this is a guy that was, singing this song before even I was born, Frankie Lane. Those of you who like music, there used to be an old TV show called Rawhide, and they had a song, and Frankie Lane sang that song. But Frankie Lane, who I believe is British, sang a song called I Believe. And I thought about playing that song tonight, but said, nah, because it's a beautiful song, by the way. So when you get out of here, Google it. It's called I Believe. Frankie Lane, L-A-I-N-E. But I do believe. I believed then. I believed during the time that I was out of office. I believe now, and I will believe when I'm done. And Commissioner Diaz and I and Pedro and Susie can go out to the retired former elected officials' ranch, wherever it may be at the time. I will believe that Doral is an example of the future, not only of South Florida, but the United States of America. I will continue to believe that God gave me the opportunity to be the first mayor, and now gives me the opportunity again to be mayor of the most diverse city, the most diverse county, the most diverse state, and the most diverse country in the world. And I will continue to believe that the ability of Doral to be an example for the rest of the United States of America and to be the premier place to live, work, play, and learn will come to fruition. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart for the opportunity to be with you again tonight. May God bless, most importantly, your families and you. May God bless the state of Florida. May God bless Miami-Dade County. May God bless the United States of America. And certainly, may God bless the city of Doral. Thank you very much. Good night.